Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studio downtown Baton Rouge. On Wednesdays, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up you are here with us. Got a lot to do over the course of the next couple of hours. JD Piquel from 1-3 Sports going to be here in 15 minutes. It's What If Wednesday. Got a couple of those rolling in on Twitter. So we'll hear what y'all have to say about those things a little bit later. 2 o'clock, Matt Bellinson from the Ruston Leaders going to talk a little bit about this Louisiana Tech team. I'm finally going to go on record here with what I think the Saints' record is going to be. I'll go game by game on the schedule and talk about what I think this year has in store for the Saints. We'll do that at 2:15. SEC Power Rankings Week 2 coming at you at 2:30. So lots and lots to do here on this Tuesday. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis Opening Drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, so I think obviously now with the LSU-Clemson game very much in the rearview mirror and moving toward next week, you're really not looking at the Louisiana Tech game for some earth-shattering revelations about this team, right? You got a lot of information Saturday from the win over Clemson, and really everyone's just kind of sit on their hands and wait for Florida outside of the football program. I'm certain those guys are fired up to get out on the football field. I'm certain those guys are going to have a really good week of practice. Brian Kelly said yesterday that that would be a very spirited practice on Tuesday. And so, their business as usual over there. We're a little bit more in the real world here and understand Louisiana Tech's got a pretty uphill battle coming on Saturday. But what I've allowed myself to do this week is just kind of look at big picture things for the season. And one of the things that stood out about the game on Saturday was Brian Kelly's decision to go for the touchdown there before the half. And I gave my thoughts on it on Monday. I felt it was the wrong decision. I didn't feel like there was time to get a first down and then get a touchdown while keeping the field goal in your back pocket. I thought it was just time to kick the field goal. And Brian Kelly didn't see it that way. And he was asked about it on Monday, and then he was asked about fourth downs in general today. I shouldn't say Monday, that was Labor Day. He was asked about it yesterday in the press conference, and he admitted yesterday in the press conference that he made a mistake. But the question was asked today, what about fourth downs in general? What's your thought process? And here's what Brian Kelly had to say about fourth downs now versus earlier in his career as a head coach.
I think it's changed. I think I lean towards gaining the information from analytics. I learned a pretty good lesson this weekend that analytics also have to factor in time on the clock and the amount of possessions or chances that you would have. I know I made a mistake in going for it on the fourth down situation where we should have settled for a field goal before the half. So I like the information. I think you still have to be able to be intuitive. Just to give you an example, it was a go for us in the fourth quarter when we punted from the 40-yard line. So I think it's good to have that information, but I still think you have to be intuitive as a coach and somebody that's in real time and making those decisions.
I thought that answer was fascinating and revealing all the same. Y'all have heard me so many times talk about how little I care about press conference quotes. Like, so much of it is coach speak, so much of it is half-truths, some of it's outright lying. Like, I don't really care about that. What do you win or do you lose? I don't care what you say at the microphone. But there are times, and I certainly will admit this, there are times where you get a sincere answer that is relevant and interesting, and that was one of them. Brian Kelly pointed to the fourth down in the fourth quarter. There were 4 minutes and 32 seconds to play in the game, and LSU had a 7-point lead. And it was 4th and 5 on the 40-yard line. 57-yard field goal, probably not, considering your kicker cramped up on his last field goal and missed it by 20 yards. 57 yards, not really in the cards there. Go for it on 4th and 5. You got a fifth-year senior quarterback? Maybe. But they punted, and the analytics told them to go for it. So he showed a flexibility there and a willingness to change. This defense, in my opinion, is one of the best in the Southeastern Conference, one of the best in the country. That's my opinion right now. We've seen them play 4 quarters. That's not a huge sample size, but I feel pretty damn good about it. And I think that should impact the way that you coach your team in regards to offensive 4th downs. You need to be more conservative, in my estimation, in punting the ball away to allow your defense to go play. Don't give up free field position. Don't take unnecessary risks. Make teams go down the field and beat you. And I think he showed that in the 4th quarter there. Now, Brian Kelly was pretty aggressive on 4th downs last year. You see LSU, and look, things, there are a lot baked into these numbers, I realize. Like Mississippi State led the SEC in attempted 4th downs last year. Some of that's because you're losing a lot. Some of it's because Jeff Levy comes from the Lane Kiffin tree. But LSU moved from, in 2023, now keep in mind, that 2023 team, incredible offense and no defense whatsoever. They were 10th in the league in 4th down attempts. Now, they didn't get to a lot of 4th downs. We get it was the best offense in the country. You don't get to a lot of 4th downs. But still, that would have been a team that you would have put out there to go for a lot of 4th downs because you knew the defense was going to give up points and the offense had a good chance to convert it. But you were 10th in the SEC in conversion attempts. And last year, that number crept up to 8th. But in numbers, you went for it 15 times in 2023. And last year, that number went up to 24. So you were more aggressive last year. I think that number is going to come down this year because of that defense. And here's the bigger piece to that entire puzzle. Brian Kelly has been at this a long time. He has been a head coach for a long time. In an unforgiving business where a lot of people get fired often, Brian Kelly has stood the test of time and coached a ton of football games. And you can say whatever you want to say about Brian Kelly as far as his win-loss record, about his success or lack thereof at LSU, about his likability, about the jokes that he tells, good or bad. There are plenty of people that think Brian Kelly's a top 5 coach in the sport. There are plenty of people that think that Brian Kelly's a terrible fit at LSU. You can say any of those things and have that claim be rooted in some truth because there's a lot of evidence out there with Brian Kelly. What you cannot suggest about Brian Kelly in his time at LSU is that he's hard-headed or stubborn or set in his ways. This man has changed course with additional information time and time and time again. Some stuff he's done that's just been like kind of simple, like the 4th down stuff. I got some analytics, says we need to go for it a little bit more often. We'll go for it more often. That's not a massive program-shifting decision, but it's something that he appreciated and went for. Just about every coach in the country is going to defer when they win the toss. Brian Kelly believes that, hey, if we win the toss, it benefits us to get the ball first. It's a little bit of swimming upstream. You look at other things. He says, we're not going to buy players. He says, we're not in the business of buying players. It turned around the next recruiting cycle and spent an astronomical amount of money buying players. He came in and hired a defensive staff. It all went to hell the second year, and he let them all go. Brought in a whole new group. Like, he has time and time again shifted in order to chase these championship dreams. So once again, you can say he's a terrible fit or he's a great coach. You can say he's underachieved at LSU or he's just laying the foundation. You can say he's the most hateable coach in college football, or you can say he's the CEO's in charge of his operation. Like, good or bad, I don't really care what you say about Brian Kelly. You cannot say this guy is not flexible and willing to adapt to try to do the best thing for his football program. And to me, one of those things that has changed over the course of the last 7 days is from the time you got on that plane to go to Clemson to now, you know more about that defense. You knew what you hoped for the defense, but now you've got concrete evidence against a team with a bajillion starts on the offensive line and 2 really good returning sophomore wide receivers and a senior quarterback who's accomplished as anybody. You went out there and shoved them in a locker. So it stands to reason that moving forward this year with this defense, it's going to be really difficult for teams to move the ball and score a lot of points. So when the analytics say, hey, it's 4th and 2 from your own 41-yard line, this is a go for us, you might want to think twice about that, because you're not a great short yardage running team potentially, and you don't want to give the other team the ball at the 38-yard line when you could punt it, flip the field, and say, hey, we didn't score on that drive. Offense come off the field, but hey, you got to now go 70 against our defense instead of 38. And I think you're going to see that. And I think it's rare to me that a coach would get up there. Now, a win helps, obviously, but it's rare a coach gets in front of a microphone and says, yeah, I screwed that one up. Should have gone with the field goal. Most of the time, you're going to hear a coach double down. Yeah, our analytics say we're going to go for that, and that's what we need to do. Lane Kiffin's not going to cop to the fact that he's choked in the first half against LSU last year, going for those 4th downs. That Ole Miss defense was awesome. And he gave away 6 points on short field goal attempts because his analytics said, we're going for it. And they got stopped, and they lost in overtime. Because he didn't shift his philosophy based on the fact that he had a great defense. He didn't have a lot of great defenses in his coaching career. He did last year. He choked in Baton Rouge. I don't know what LSU's record is going to be this year. Might be 12-0, might be 8-4. I'm not sure. But what I can confidently say with evidence to support it is that Brian Kelly is likely to shift the way that he thinks based on new information. And in this case, the new information that his defense is really good and he doesn't have to push the envelope as much as he might have had to in recent years. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel pretty confident that you're going to see a more conservative coach with this roster that they spent a lot of money to go get. So that's our start to today's show, brought to you by Genesis, our opening drive. Our Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Of SEC Power Rankings coming up in the second hour. We'll have a thought on the Saints record coming up a little bit later. We'll also do What If Wednesday at 1:30 when we come back. JD Piquel, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports, joins us.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website of every car that's on the lot. It's online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Just an amazing facility they've got over there. No detail was too small for them. So when you go to Genesis of Baton Rouge, you will see their phenomenal facility. You will see and experience their amazing staff that treats you like a guest, not a customer. You'll see the seating areas, snack bar, coffee maker, television, secluded workstations if you need a little bit of time while your car's being serviced to get some things done. You don't feel like you're jammed up in a dirty, crowded waiting room watching Price is Right. They've got an opportunity for you to sit, take a little bit of time off your feet. And the line of vehicles speaks for itself. It's an amazing, amazing place over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. Most of you driving around right now have never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. You can change that. When it's time for you to get behind the wheel of a new vehicle, whether that's this week, this month, next year, just put Genesis on your list. Go by and see them airline at PQ. Check out the inventory at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to get in the pool of your dreams. Check them out online, builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. Well, if y'all were paying attention over the summer, one of these internet personalities was suggesting that LSU was going to be pretty damn good, might win a national championship. Might have been our next guest. JD Piquel, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Looking like a pretty smart guy after LSU's win over Clemson on Saturday. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm better now. Not too bad for an internet personality, huh?
Hey.
Talking a little ball with the guys, but I mean, what you gonna do, man? No, it was a fun game. I'm sure you enjoyed it, and it's only week one. It's only week one, but I've bought all the Kool-Aid, so I got it in my fridge anyway, preparing to guzzle the rest of that this college football season. Man, glad to be on with you.
Look, it's I said this after the game on my post game, and then again on my show on Monday. Like I felt like watching that game. If you told me that LSU had to go back and play Clemson again this Saturday, I'd feel just fine with it. I think LSU was better than Clemson and showed that over 4 quarters, and I think that they wouldn't have a huge issue going back and winning the game. I'm okay not doing that, but that's kind of my read on the 4 quarters. How did you see it there in South Carolina?
I think one of the more impressive things is all the things that LSU had stacked against them. You know, like going into that game, picking Clemson and Clemson being favored by 4 points was anything but irresponsible. I mean, the matchup that probably should have determined the game if you're a Clemson fan is we have 2 top 10 picks. They have an offensive line they're not sure about. Let's go get after their quarterback. Also, we're at home. Also, we have the number 1 returning production in college football. There's no half-stepping. Let's try to figure out this roster. Like, we are a ready-made operation at home week 1 with a great D-line against their questionable offensive line. And for the offensive line to play the way they did, for the defense to play the way they did. Like, there was so much about that game that I think speaks to, we said it on our show going into the week, I forget if you and I talked about it, Hunt, but like the emotional calibration from the staff to the leaders in that locker room to make it about Clemson all off season long from what it sounds like to then not play tight. You know, you can obsess about an opponent to a certain degree when you have months to obsess about them. And there's a certain level of that that's awesome, you know, that you're dialed in your opponent. There's also a level of that would make you concerned of, hey, if you get so teed up for that 100 meters, if you get out of the blocks too hot and you're a little bit tight, like you pop a hamstring. And so I was worried about that for LSU. We've seen that from LSU in the past. And to see them compete at the level they did in that spot on that stage against that team told me a lot about how they're wired.
Let's talk about the LSU defense. I mean, how good do you think Clemson's offense is, and what did Saturday's effort tell you about LSU's defense?
I think Clemson's offense is really good. I don't think anything less of Cade Klubnik. I do think Antonio Williams going out of the game semi-early really hurt LSU, or really hurt Clemson, in favor of LSU, because you kind of lost that guy to drop the top on a defense and really stretch the field. I think Wesco is good. I think Moore's good. I don't think they're quite the threat vertically that Williams is. But I was just impressed, Hunt, of how synced up the defense looked. Like we've talked about the personnel, and we kind of thought going into the year they had some guys that could go good after the quarterback and play at a high intensity level. But the concern with the Blake Baker defense is if you're going to be aggressive, you leave yourself in some way, shape, or form exposed to getting got. And so for them to be on their P's and Q's assignment wise and to hold that Clemson defense in check, that was super impressive to me. Also, I want to make sure I add like the competitive plays element of this game that I feel like LSU won. The plays where, Klubnik breaks contain, he's got his eyes downfield. And, those were plays that honestly going into that game, I was a touch concerned about for LSU just because, we've seen mobile quarterbacks hurt LSU before. And to see Perkins get after him, Weeks get after him as a degree they did, the consistency they did without the big plays happening, gave me a lot of confidence in what that defense is going to be the rest of the year. It might just be good. It might just be a good defense.
I think it is. We kind of thought that after a few weeks of camp, and there was a lot of validation in what we saw on Saturday. Do you think Clemson's the best team in the ACC?
That's a really good question. I'll say yes for the sheer fact of I trust the DNA of Clemson probably more than I trust Miami right now. But that conference just got a whole lot more interesting. After 1 week, too, I didn't have Miami in my playoff preseason, but after that win over that Notre Dame team, told me a lot about how they're wired too. So I'll say I don't think they're probably the better team in the ACC over Clemson, but I tell you what, that gap is a lot closer than what I thought it was going into the weekend.
Let's talk about Alabama and Florida State. Speaking of the ACC, what was your takeaway from that game? I'll just kind of leave that open-ended.
Oof. How long do we have? This is what, like a 10, 15-minute spot?
we got a few minutes.
You want to go another hour here? There's been so much discussion after the game about how unprepared Alabama looked and the fact that it was Florida State. Hunt, just to echo what everyone else has said throughout sports media this week, it's not the fact they lost, it's the way they looked when they lost. Like, I was so shocked at the fact that Alabama was the second most intense team on the field that day when Thomas Castellanos is calling out the whole team, talking about how Saban can't save them. You got guys at media days from Bama saying disrespect will be addressed. And, I didn't see any disrespect be addressed at all. Maybe it was addressed in the direct messages saying, hey, Tommy, don't do that. It hurts our feelings. But, I saw a team that, quite frankly, walked into a hostile environment and just got it taken to them and did nothing about it. There was, the entire time, if you're a Bama fan, you're like, do something. Show me there's some pulse of competitiveness here. And Florida State was that team on that day. So I think that's what scares me the most from Bama. It's not just the fact that we got beat. It's that we didn't look competitive. And then, two, we had every reason to be competitive. The fact that we won 9 games last year, the fact that the quarterback called us out, can you imagine what a Saban Bama would have done to that team? The amount of initiative they would have taken, how personal they would have taken, Castellanos' comments, it would have been a bloodbath. But alas, we turned the page on a new Bama.
How fixable do you think those issues are?
I think they're fixable. I don't think they're go to the mechanic shop and get the tires switched fixable. I think it is hey, you have to drop it off with us. We'll call you in a week. It might be 2 weeks. Hey, actually, we found this part that's wrong too. I think the problems are more deep-seated than one team meeting and one players-only group chat conversation. I think it's going to take a second. So, we could fast forward the tape here a month and say if at the end of this month and, they go to Athens, they beat Georgia, maybe we all calm down a little bit. But those, the consistency and the intentionality, those things to me don't get fixed in the matter of a week. So they got some soul searching to do.
What's your gut tell you on Bama's record at the end of it? I won't hold you to it.
I don't think they beat Georgia. I don't think they beat LSU. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped one more they weren't supposed to drop. So I think 9-3, 8-4 is probably about fair for Bama.
Be some questions to answer in Tuscaloosa if that's the case. They just don't really stand for that too much there in T-Town. So, all right, you're Texas, Ohio State. You learn more about Texas or Ohio State on Saturday?
I feel like learn more about Ohio State. Hunt, didn't that game feel a little bit like in the first half, going into the second half, kind of third quarter range? I was like, this is Michigan, Ohio State. This is low scoring. This is ugly. This is line of scrimmage. This is not a lot from either quarterback. And for Ohio State, to win a game like that. No, I know it wasn't the maize and blue on the other side, and I know Michigan fans like to talk about the mental game that is for the Buckeyes, so I'm not going to touch that part of it. But the style of game, if you told me Ohio State's going to score 14 points on the Friday going into that game, I'd be like, okay, so Texas obviously won the game. Like, by how much is my question, and what Arch Manning do? So for them to win that game in that style, I think says a lot about the DNA that they have, and I also think it deserves to be mentioned, like, the lack of complacency from Ohio State, because that was kind of the question I think all offseason for a lot of folks was, well, you win the national title, got to be a hangover, right? Well, you lose Will Howard. Well, you lose both your coordinators. And to me, Ohio State looked like the team that had something to prove in that game. That was the team that, missed the national title by a game 2 years in a row and not Texas. So the edge that Ohio State played with and the way they met that moment was really impressive to me.
You got an Arch thought?
I think he's going to be okay. Don't you think? I mean, I think he's like, I know everyone talks about the last name being the reason for the hype, and I understand that, but the last name to me also says 24 hours before that game is history. I get to talk to Uncle Peyton, Uncle Eli. I get to talk to my head coach, Steve Sarkisian, who's a QB guru. Like, I think there's too much around him for this to just be who he is. What I saw was a dude who was super talented, look extremely tight. Like the throws he was missing, it wasn't like he was just off on the deep ball or anything like that. It was like he's missing wide open crossers. Like he's skipping the ball to a receiver downfield while he's on the run early in the game. Like he looks so tight, so in his head. And so I think he has the resources around him to get that right. But I'll tell you what, Hunt, that game in a few weeks here where they go to the Swamp, if he looks like that again in that environment, I'm not out on Arch at that point, but I will start to get a lot more worried about what he's going to be in the context of what we expected Texas to be, which is, quite frankly, a team that can compete for a national championship. And maybe this year, should go win a national championship with that defense. So a lot to be uncovered here over the course of these next 2 weeks.
Coming up this weekend, Oklahoma hosting Michigan. This is Brent Venables' shot to get an early win this year and kind of cool things down in Norman. You think they get it done?
I do. I'm surprised at that line. I mean, 6 points favoring Oklahoma feels like a lot, especially after what Michigan did at the end of last year, beating those teams in Alabama and Ohio State. But I don't love the idea of a true freshman going to Norman against a Brent Venables defense. Like Bryce Underwood, as most folks in Baton Rouge know now, is a different caliber of competitor, but I don't know that they have enough built out around him to go score for score with what I think that John Mateer-led offense is going to do. So I don't feel incredibly confident about it. I wouldn't take Michigan to win, but I would take them to cover.
Is there any other game that's particularly interesting to you coming up this weekend?
It's kind of you know what I say, it's always the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Like a couple, not a couple years ago, it was last year where we had that weekend where it was very quiet, not much going on the slate, and then Vandy takes down Bama and Arkansas beats Tennessee. I think it was in the same weekend.
It was.
You know what? I think the Cyhawk will be fun. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about what that new Iowa offense is supposed to look like. I'm still not out on Baylor either. I mean, I think them going to SMU, I think they actually win that game outright. They're a 3-point dog. So there's still something on the board here for us to look at, and some nice little appetizers. Here's a kind of a sicko special, if you will. Friday night, JMU and Louisville. JMU could be that G5 team makes a playoff run. So if they get this one against Louisville, the Fighting Bobby Chesneys could maybe be your playoff team and find their way into the dance with a nice little resume booster there if they go undefeated the rest of the way.
We'll see. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk next week. LSU and Florida will be on the menu next.
Here we go. Hunt, you're the man. Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon.
JD Piquel, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports, the On 3 YouTube channel, wherever you find your podcast as well, the Hard Count. JD's awesome. Give us a little bit of time each and every Wednesday. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got some what-ifs rolling in on the Twitter sphere. If you're in the Bayou Ford chat right now and want to throw us some what-ifs for the next segment, we can have some of those. Get ready to roll. And second hour is going to be real busy. We're going to start with a look at Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Going to talk to Matt Bellinson from the Ruston Leader. I want to give you my Saints record prediction on the record at 2:15, and then we'll do some power rankings at 2:30 as well. So lots to get to. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Captives are the future of insurance, perhaps the present in a lot of cases of insurance. If you handle the insurance program for a business, you're a business owner, and you haven't looked at a captive and you feel like you've put a significant amount into the premium bucket every single year, but your losses are good, if your loss history is great, and you've got sizable premium there, it could be a game changer for your business's bottom line from a risk management perspective. Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group handle captives every single day. So if you haven't been presented that option, maybe your broker's not capable, doesn't have access to captives. The Highland Insurance Group does. Check them out online at highlandig.com. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. If you're a business owner or handle the insurance for a business, you spend significant amount on premium, loss history is good, and you've never looked at a captive, this is the time. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online, highlandig.com, highlandig.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Thanks to JD Piquel for hanging out with us here on this Wednesday. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. I tell you every single week, if you've always thought about having a pool in the backyard but never made that dream a reality, well, this summer's just about in the rearview mirror, so that time's just about come and gone. There's always another summer coming around, and they come pretty quick around here. Our winter months are not very long. So if you want to make sure that by next spring and into the summertime, you've got that pool of your dreams, then contact my guy, Joey Blanchard at Renaissance Homes and Pools. The process is seamless, and he's involved from start to finish. You sit down and you go through that consultation, he's there. You go through the design phase, he's there. They've got incredible software that can allow you to see to scale exactly what your pool is going to look like before they ever put a shovel in the ground. Want to put an outdoor kitchen there to complete your outdoor space? They can do that for you at Renaissance Homes and Pools as well. And the time to dig, Joey's there. Time to fill, Joey's there. Time for the completion of that project, Joey is there. Obviously, the scale of the project as well as the weather are going to impact exactly how long it takes to get things done. But Joey's told me it's not uncommon to get things done in just a couple of months, 6 to 8 weeks, potentially, again, depending on the size and the weather. Renaissance Homes and Pools are built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every week. All right, time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if you could only watch in person or on TV either LSU or LSU football for the next 10 years?
LSU baseball or LSU football? Is that
Yep.
what we're looking at here? For 10 years? It's not a secret. I like LSU baseball more than LSU football. And I'm obviously if I'm reading this literally, and it comes in off Twitter, the radio is an option for me here. So I'm going to be able to stay abreast.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know.
I'm probably I'll go to the football games.
Okay.
Now, that's a dumb answer because I literally can't go to half the football games because I don't travel with the network. So I could just listen in the studio where I am, where the game's broadcast. But I like to go inside Tiger Stadium when there's 100,000 people in there and it's a big game. And we're going to get that in 2 weeks, and that's really fun. I'll keep up with LSU baseball via the radio. I will enjoy Chris on the call. Unfortunately, I'd like to go to some games. But I guess that's got to be the answer. It pains me, but it's what it's got to be.
All right, next one here. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the way this one's obviously written. Not very.
They all come from Twitter.
They come from Twitter. So
give the folks some
yes
leeway.
So next one here. What if we don't use Nick Anderson? This person said like we should be, which I mean that's obviously subjective, but I guess the real what if is like, what if we don't use Nick Anderson, kind of similarly to how they didn't really use CJ Daniels maybe as much as they could have, and possibly why he transferred to Miami. So what if they handle Nick Anderson the same way?
You know, I'm a little bit intrigued by the fact that CJ Daniels just never really got it going here. I mean, didn't have a touchdown catch last year. He wasn't a complete non-factor, but he was below the radar for sure. And, Nick Anderson is a little bit of an unknown because he didn't play last year for Oklahoma, and he didn't participate much in the spring, and he didn't run with the ones in camp. So suggesting that he's going to be like some sort of 1,100-yard receiver here, that's not going to happen. It would take significant injuries and significant progression from him to get him to that point, and I don't think that's realistic to expect. He does have a great skill set, and it is different than everybody else in the wide receiver group. May not have the high-end speed that Brown and Hilton do, but he does have elite size. He also has shown himself to be a good receiver down the field. He was a deep threat for Oklahoma for sure, and he just gives you a bigger body type than Kyle Parker or Aaron Anderson or Chris Hilton or any of those guys. So I think that this week, this will be something I talk about a little bit more tomorrow and Friday. But I think you do see the passing game really step out on Saturday. It was a run-heavy game plan on Saturday, and Clemson's good in the secondary and made some things tough on LSU. And I don't think LSU wanted to lean on sitting back in the pocket and throwing the ball down the field against a really good pass rush like Clemson had. So most of the stuff was quick and around the line of scrimmage, and that suits Aaron Anderson. That suits Davion Thomas. That suits those guys. It doesn't necessarily suit Nick Anderson as well. He's more of a downfield threat. I think he'll have multiple catches in this game on Saturday, and I think they'll try to ease him in because his skill set's different than everybody else. But I do think that he's probably 4th or 5th in the pecking order from a wide receiver perspective at this point.
All right, next one here. What if Myers Palmer continues his ascent to being a generational talent in soccer?
I don't know if that's the ascent that we're on here.
I said what if, Hunt. This is a what if.
If he becomes a generational talent in soccer, that's good. No, he's going to have to live a long way from his mom, which is going to be a problem for her because he's going to be he's going to be
somewhere in Europe, probably.
Europe, you know, and I'm not going to live there.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Hunt. You don't have to live there, okay? Because obviously, if he does become a player of that caliber and is that good,
one of the greatest players in the world. There's a lot of
no. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying if he becomes a really good talent, let's just say for example, he takes the same trajectory as Christian Pulisic, who is currently considered the best American player in soccer. He plays for AC Milan, which is in Milan, Italy.
Okay.
And he makes a very large amount of money.
Good.
And I'm sure that he very easily can have his family flown out to Milan and see the games, and they can probably do some traveling and all that stuff. So you don't have to live there.
Private aviation's good.
Yeah, I'm sure he can handle that.
But
so
we'll still be calling Baton Rouge home at that point.
Of course.
But yeah, that'd be great if he's super rich. That's awesome. Rich is cool. I like Rich.
But it's funny just thinking about you having a son that's so good at a sport that you really don't care about.
I spend a lot of time in Italy. I'm not trying to.
Really, you don't want to go to Italy, Hunt? It's like one of the most favorable travel destinations in the world.
Yeah, I'm good here.
All right, next one. What if we didn't make the personnel changes in the front office, namely bringing back Austin Thomas? How does that change the roster construction for this season / the methods that they used?
Hard to say. Certainly, I think it's a step in the right direction for LSU to have that type of front office to help manage money, because that's not something that head coaches in college have done. And now it's a very, very important aspect of the job. And so for Brian Kelly to have to deal with that all day, every day would just be a little bit more than what he needs to be doing. He needs to be focused on coaching his team on the field. So it's the right thing to do. Do I think it would have had a huge impact on this roster? Maybe not, because they just made those changes in the summer of this year, and you already had the transfer portal class that came in January. So I know Austin Thomas was here, but a lot of the guys that they put around him came in the spring and early summer of this year. So I think this was a concentrated effort from Austin Thomas, Brian Kelly, and the collective to get this money together and get this team together. I think moving forward is where you see the bigger impact from it.
All right, let's take one from the YouTube chat here. There's a couple of them that aren't great, but we got one here. What if Alabama?
There's a couple that aren't great.
I mean, look, I was thinking about doing what if Hunt gave respect to Vandy and Missouri, but we don't even need to consider that because it's just not even possible. Like there's no realm of it happening. Even
if they had any good football players, I'd respect their programs.
Okay, all right. We'll take this one though. What if Alabama now keeps a fully fueled jet on the tarmac during each game, just in case?
I don't think that's coming immediately, but if they lose to Wisconsin next week, you can start to see the writing on the wall. I mean, they're just I don't know how much money Alabama has behind that football program. I don't know how this era compares to 15 years ago, but they're not going to sit here and let Kalen DeBoer let this thing slip into to the abyss. So again, I'm not suggesting they're going to lose to Wisconsin. I don't think that's going to happen in Tuscaloosa. But if they lose to Wisconsin, and now all of a sudden you got a losing record against the P5, you can't. That's an unacceptable outcome. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, last one. What if you had unlimited funds to buy one sports memorabilia item? What item are you buying for the man cave? I guess is where you probably put it.
I have never even given that just a thought at all. I'm not a big memorabilia guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have this something that I just think would be so awesome to have. I'm thinking about the baseball Rizzo put in his pocket when the Cubs won the World Series. I'm thinking about something from Augusta National. I'm sure they've got something in that clubhouse, whether it's a Tiger putter or a Samsonite iron or something at Augusta that I would think was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a bad answer. I need to be quicker on my feet than that. But there's nothing that I would just go, oh, I got to have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of it either. My initial thought was something maybe like the bat that David Ross used at the home run. I don't know. Something like maybe from 2016 for Cubs. But I don't know. Initially, I don't think of anything with LSU. I don't know. Just because if you have unlimited funds, you'd want to go for something that's like very valuable, I feel. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is. Maybe I should give that more thought. Maybe
so.
We'll do that in the commercial break. Might have something to say. There's a story I want to get to at the end of the hour. It's not local, but it could be absolutely massive in the sports world. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They can do a wholesale renovation of your bathroom. If your home is 25 to 30 years old, that's the point. David says a lot of times some of the plumbing fixtures and some of the things in the bathroom tend to start wearing down, breaking down. So if you've got one of those classic 90s setups that have the standalone shower and they've got the big jacuzzi-style tub, one of the things that David and his team do all the time is take that standalone shower out, make that a linen closet. It's about the right size for that. And then where that big jacuzzi was that you never use, they put in a walk-in shower. If you don't ever sit in the bathtub, you don't need that huge thing taking up space. Use that space more efficiently. Put that walk-in shower in. Changes the aesthetic functionality of your bathroom, adds some value to your home, and he can do it from start to finish. You don't have to call 3 different contractors to get this done or that done. You call one. David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. He makes it happen. He's got a master plumber on staff. He's got a great team that can get your job finished quickly. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online. OneBathAndClosets.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
So, to close up the hour, this is not a local story, but I do think it's one that could shake the core of American sports if there's some more digging done into this. For those unfamiliar, Pablo Torre, longtime guest on Around the Horn, but journalist, has launched a podcast. It's called Pablo Finds Out, and he is just an investigator now. Like he's uncovering things in the world of sports. And his latest podcast deals with the signing of Kawhi Leonard with the Los Angeles Clippers. And essentially, if I boil this entire thing down, there are details, and he reported it, and he shows his work in the podcast. Essentially, what this boils down to is the Clippers signed Kawhi Leonard to a deal that was less than what he could have gotten elsewhere in the league, but they used a fraudulent tree company to funnel him an extra $28 million. And Torre went to this fraudulent tree company, studied their books, looked at their creditors when they filed bankruptcy, and one of them is KL2 LLC, which Kawhi Leonard and his basketball number 2, you go and you look their registration up, and you get Kawhi Leonard as the owner of said LLC. And this fraudulent tree company owed him $7 million annually over 4 years. So Pablo Torre went to this tree company that Steve Ballmer's associated with and found employees and finally got one to speak to him on the record, recorded, and they said, yeah, this was an endorsement deal that we had signed, but there was no actual endorsing going on. Kawhi Leonard never mentioned him on social media. Kawhi Leonard never did a commercial. Kawhi Leonard never wore a shirt or attended a fundraiser. He just got $7 million every year. So what they're now suggesting, or what Torre is reporting, is that the Clippers were just circumventing the salary cap by paying Kawhi Leonard on the side through a fraudulent company that has now gone bankrupt. And that is shaking the sport to its core. Because if we find out that this is something that is commonplace in sports, like, you're now just flagrantly breaking the rules. Because money is one thing, and I don't care how much Texas pays their defensive end in college, because there's no limit on that. But theoretically, in the NBA, in the NFL, you're confined to talent acquisition by a salary cap that everyone's supposed to play by the same rules. And if you're very clearly not, with one of the best, 10 players in the NBA, to bring him in under the salary cap and just paying him through the back door, we got a big problem. Big problem. And that's the inference here with Torre's reporting. Now, I don't know if the NBA is going to release a statement on this. I don't know if they're going to launch an investigation. But, the podcast that Torre put out gives a lot of his work being checked. This is not just him jumping on a 20-minute episode and saying, this is what I found out. He shows the images of the banking records and the creditors and the bankruptcy filings. And he shows all of the different documents, paperworks, and sources that he's used to obtain very clear dots to connect here. So I'm of the belief, without knowing the entirety of the story and without spending any more time other than watching on this Instagram video, I'm willing to suggest that it's very likely this happened intentionally to circumvent the salary cap and break the rules. If that is the case, Steve Ballmer's got to go. He can't be the owner anymore. There'll be another disgraced Clippers owner. And there probably needs to be a league-wide investigation on whether or not Ballmer is the only guy doing this. Because it would stand to reason that if one guy's doing it, it's probably happening elsewhere.
And this is going to get ugly if there's no way that we're not going to be hearing more from this. And Steve Ballmer is very wealthy. He's one of the richest men in the United States. I'm sure he has a very established legal team, and they will be attacking this head on, and it's just going to be very ugly. And I don't know how, if David Stern was still the commissioner of the NBA, I would feel pretty good about how he would handle it because he was very good at handling things. But I don't know how Adam Silver is going to do. He hasn't really shown too much force, at least from what we've seen. So this is going to be a very, very interesting development over the next year.
It's cool to be the commissioner of sport when you can sit
It's
courtside
easy, yeah.
and you can fly around all the finals games.
And you got to deal with this.
Then this happens, and you got not a lot of fun. Cool to be Jay Monahan, head on to the Masters and the Players, go check out the U.S. Open, and then, one Saudi group tries to buy the half the sport. Things get a little dicey. So I think there's more to this story that'll be learned, and Pablo Torre is good at this stuff, and he made it happen. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Wednesday. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. When we come back, we're going to look at the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Power rankings coming up at the bottom of the hour.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. It doesn't matter what type of pool you're looking for. If you've got young kids and you want them to grow up with that great, big, fun pool that they've always wanted, that you've always wanted, they make that happen at Renaissance Homes and Pools. You want to put in something smaller like a cocktail pool, don't have a ton of space, and just want to be able to get in, cool off, maybe read, grab a drink, do that as well. If you got grandkids, make that happen. You want an outdoor kitchen to go with your pool, kind of make it an entertaining area. Renaissance Homes and Pools can help you out with all of that. The best part, working with Renaissance, you work with Joey Blanchard, the owner, step by step. You're dealing with the owner of the company. That is such a rarity these days. Sometimes you're working with an employee on how invested somebody is. Not with Renaissance Homes and Pools. You work with Joey. He's done it for dozens and dozens and dozens of folks in the Baton Rouge area. He can put your pool in as well. Built by Renaissance.com. Built by Renaissance.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer accused of circumventing the NBA's salary cap by paying $28 million to Kawhi Leonard for a no-show job. The Clippers paid Leonard through a now bankrupt company owned by Ballmer, according to podcaster and former ESPN contributor Pablo Torre. That endorsement deal came 9 months after Leonard signed a 4-year, $176 million contract to remain with LA, the max allowed at the time under the NBA's CBA. The Clippers should be investigated, insists First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
The facts are the facts, and the truth is the truth, whatever it may be. And there's no question that there's enough speculation out there for this to be looked into. But let's also understand one of the biggest reasons it needs to be looked into is because of who Kawhi Leonard has been.
ESPN's Shams Charania is reporting Mavericks forward P.J. Washington's agreed to a 4-year, $90 million extension. NFL days ahead of the season opener. The Jets' fierce starting right guard Elijah Vera Tucker suffered a season-ending torn triceps. He is seeking a second opinion to see if season-ending surgery is necessary.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Thursday with the season about to kick off, I'll tell you which 2024 playoff teams are destined to miss the playoffs this year. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. Half the work week in the rear view mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. What's the Saints' record going to be this year? I'll go through it game by game coming up in 15 minutes. That starts, of course, Sunday. Saints and Cardinals from the Dome at noon. SEC football power rankings coming your way at 2:30. There's been a little bit of shifting. I got to be honest, the middle of the league, I don't know what I'm doing. But I guess that's to be expected when you're looking at one game and half the league played teams that can't compete. So we'll see. That's SEC Power Rankings coming your way in 30 minutes. Louisiana Tech coming into Baton Rouge this weekend. Matt Bellinson covers the Dogs for the Ruston Leader. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. Matt, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. All right, let's talk about the expectations or maybe lack thereof entering this season for Louisiana Tech. Hasn't been a great start to the Sonny Cumbie era. Are there expectations? Is there pressure? How was the fall leading into week one?
Yeah, there's no doubt that this year was a time for Sonny Cumbie to get this program back to a winning season. Earn a bowl game. Obviously, they played in the Independence Bowl last year. Unfortunately, Marshall had to step out due to some COVID issues, but Louisiana Tech has not had a winning season since pre-COVID. So, like you mentioned, Sonny Cumbie, the pressure is definitely on. Talking to AD Ryan Ivey in the preseason, he made it very clear that Sonny Cumbie has to get this team to a bowl game this year. He has to have a winning record and compete for a Conference USA title. I don't care where you are in college football. Year 4 is plenty of time to reload your roster, to get your infrastructure in place, and certainly Tech fans and Tech administration have both made it very clear that they need to win this year, and that Sonny Cumbie definitely feels that pressure. So I think coming into this season, obviously you lose your defensive coordinator, a lot of defensive staff. You're also bringing Tony Franklin back as offensive coordinator. So a lot of staff changes, a lot of roster turnover. I think that's been business as usual under Sonny, but definitely the pressure is on, regardless.
Let's talk about offense, because obviously he was a prolific passer in his college days. His background is in offense. Got a quarterback change with an incumbent coming back. What does this Louisiana Tech offensive identity want to be?
It's an interesting question because, talking to Tony Franklin in the preseason, they brought in this junior college transfer, Trey Kuka, to battle Evan Bullock. Like you mentioned, Evan started 10 games for this offense last year, and this offense really didn't have an identity last year. Obviously, they changed play callers and quarterbacks so much they really didn't have time to establish anything. And in the preseason this year, it was definitely established that they wanted to have a quarterback that can be mobile, to get involved in the run game. I think you saw that in week 1 against Southeastern. A lot of designed runs, a lot of quarterback draws for Trey Kukuk. He finished with 15 carries. At the quarterback position, it's pretty uncommon. And so you're definitely going to see on Saturday against LSU. Trey is going to be a running quarterback. They want to establish the run game. You saw a lot of guys shuffle in and out of there. A lot of running backs got 4, 5, 6 carries. In that Southeastern game. So I would expect the same against LSU. And I think they definitely want to run to set up the pass. They're going to take their shots here and there, but there were not a lot of passes thrown 15 yards or more down the field against Southeastern. They had a couple of nice plays down the seam, but outside of that, it was a lot of Trey just kind of scrambling and making some first down completions. I think week 1, you struggle in the first half mightily against Southeastern. They finished the first quarter with 30 yards and they barely scored in the first half. So I think this is an offense that's still frankly finding an identity, but I would definitely say it starts with the quarterback run game, and I think the run game in general kind of builds off of that.
Yeah, I mean, just 3 points in the first half, and it came right there at the gun, and then you got a defensive touchdown to get you to 24 in the second half against an FCS team. I mean, how would you characterize the offensive effort on Saturday against Southeastern?
Yeah, I mean, just disappointing. I think you heard from Sonny Cumbie and Tony Franklin all offseason that they said publicly, we're further ahead than we've ever been in our years here at Louisiana Tech. And then, I was sitting up in the press box thinking, like, man, this is a repeat of what I've watched the last 4 seasons. It's an offense that just does not start games fast. Again, a first quarter, a first half where you basically don't really show up as an offense. And then obviously, you're playing an FCS team, so you have time to adjust. But man, this weekend against LSU, and frankly, when you get into Conference USA competition, you're not going to have time to do that. And we heard from Sonny Cumbie post-game on Saturday that they felt like Tony Franklin calling plays up in the box. There was just a lack of comfortability there with the offense, so he came down in the second half, and it seems like moving forward, he's going to be on the field calling plays, I think just from a comfortability standpoint. So I think, like I mentioned before, I think it's an offense that's still finding its identity, but I think overall it was a disappointing start because, I guess an FCS team at home with all this talk in the offseason about bringing Tony Franklin back, I think fans expected more. And like you mentioned, he only scored 2 offensive touchdowns. So I think there's definitely a lot of skepticism going into this week and frankly conference play of what this offense can be.
Matt Bellinson is our guest with the Ruston Daily Leader, talking Louisiana Tech Bulldogs as they head down from Ruston to Baton Rouge coming up on Saturday night. Defense led Conference USA last year and pitched a shutout in week 1. Is that the strength of the team?
Oh, there's no doubt. And like I mentioned, they changed defensive coordinators in the offseason. Jeremiah Johnson leads for Coastal Carolina. And they bring in Luke Olson, who led Jacksonville State to a Conference USA championship last year, was one of the better defenses in the country. And Louisiana Tech, like you mentioned, had a pretty solid defense itself. And I think the one biggest difference that we've heard so far in the offseason, and I think you saw that against Southeastern, was that this defense really predicates itself on taking the ball away. For as good as Louisiana Tech's defense was in the red zone and stopping the run last year, just in total defense, they ranked really low in taking the ball away. And I think, frankly, you heard that from Luke Olson in the offseason was, they were a fine defense last year, but man, we won a championship at Jacksonville State because we knew how to take the ball away. We knew how to make opponents uncomfortable. And I think, frankly, if you had to project somehow, does Louisiana Tech have any sort of chance to beat LSU on Saturday? The only chances they would have to turn over LSU. I think it was encouraging to see that, the offseason mantra lived up to the hype. In week 1, obviously a defensive score. You held your opponent, shut out. 8 scoreless quarters for this defense dating back to last year at home. So I think there's some encouraging signs that this defense can take the ball away. But obviously you're going up against an elite offense and elite quarterback this week. So I think it's going to be a lot tougher. But based on what Luke Olson and these defensive players have said, they're going to dial some things up. They're going to try and get this offense of LSU uncomfortable and, see if they can make some plays happen, because if they don't, I don't think they're going to be able to stop them from just marching up and down the field if they cannot dial some exotic looks and, force them to make a mistake.
Last year, Louisiana Tech played 2 Power 4 teams. They went to NC State and lost a 30-20 game. And they played Arkansas in November and lost 35-14. But that was a reasonably competitive football game. Do you feel like Louisiana Tech has the horses to hang around on Saturday? Is this too much of an uphill battle?
I think it goes back to the defense. You mentioned the Arkansas game. I was there in Fayetteville last year, and again, I know that the final score looks like a blowout, but you look at Arkansas's first 5 drives as an offense. Let's just look at it: punt, interception, punt, fumble, and Louisiana Tech doesn't score off of any of those, defensive stops. So that's an example of where your defense came to play. They held an SEC opponent shut out, basically for the first 2 quarters, and then your offense doesn't show up. So I think, again, it comes back to, can the defense create, a mismatch for Garrett Nussmeier? Can they get him to make a mistake? I certainly think the defense is good enough to hang around for a little bit. Offensively, I was not encouraged, like I mentioned, what I saw last week, and I think they just have so many questions at wide receiver, and I think who's going to be the playmaker on this team. That I think offensively, if you don't get out to maybe, if you can't score at least 10 points, I think through the first 2 quarters, your defense is going to have a hard time, being on the field that much. So I would anticipate if this defense cannot get a couple stops early and maybe give this offense a chance, to score early, I don't see how LSU does not, blow them out.
Does your gut tell you that Tech is competitive in Conference USA this year as far as potentially towards the top, or does it look like that's an uphill battle as well?
I think the early portion of their schedule certainly sets them up to be an upper echelon team. Again, your first 3 league games are New Mexico State, UTEP, and Kennesaw State. Like, you should be 3-0 in league play if all things go well. And then, obviously, outside of Jacksonville State, you get the 3 best teams in the league at home in Western Kentucky, Stan, and Liberty. So I certainly feel like if Louisiana Tech can take care of business against the bad Conference USA opponents that they start off with, they're going to be sitting pretty and are going to have an opportunity. Again, I think right now they have probably the best defense in the league. I think just given the coordinator that they have and, frankly, the personnel. So I think if the defense, can continue to play at this level and the offense can eventually find its way, I think you definitely see this team, middle of October, November, definitely contending for something. But the offense has a long way to go to catch up to the defense before I throw out that they can actually contend for sure.
Matt, we appreciate some time. We will catch up on game day inside Tiger Stadium. Thanks, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
He's Matt Bellinson with the Ruston Daily Leader. We'll be traveling down for LSU and Louisiana Tech. Will be on my pregame show coming up on Saturday, just about an hour before kickoff between LSU and Tech. So appreciate him for giving us some time here on this Wednesday. Tech's not very good on offense. Last week was a very, very poor showing against Southeastern offensively. That's an FCS team that you're playing, and to not be able to get you didn't have any points with a minute to go in the first half. And they were only able to put 2 touchdowns on the board in the second half. Their defense put 1 up as well. So just a very uneven effort there against an FCS team. Now you're going to have to deal with LSU. It's just hard to imagine a scenario where Louisiana Tech scores 14, 17 points in reasonable time. I guess if LSU was up 49-0 and then you scored a couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter against a bunch of freshmen, maybe. But I think Tech's going to have a hard time moving the ball, and LSU's offense is pretty good, I think, and is going to give that good Tech Conference USA defense a lot of trouble. But appreciate Matt for giving us a little bit of time. One thing I can promise you about Louisiana Tech coming in on Saturday, they're going to have good uniforms on. Tech wears really good uniforms. I didn't actually love the uniforms they wore last week. They wore powder blue. Tech's not powder blue. The Lady Texers wore powder blue in the 90s. They just need to stick with the blue and red. I don't know why all the blue teams feel like they have to go to powder blue. But I love the blue and red. I think Tech's got one of the better logos. The state of Louisiana with that big T. I think it looks good. So that's my biggest takeaway on Tech football for this weekend. Quality uniforms. Football team, not ready to call that quality at the moment, but the uniforms should look pretty good. I have one more slight recommendation for Louisiana Tech. Don't know if I can get this pulled off, but Myersman really likes watching LSU on YouTube. A lot of the games he's watched, just coincidentally, the other team has been in red. If Tech could wear red, so you can call them the red team, which is what he usually says, that's Tigers and the red team, that could really help him out in his first game to see who's what down there. So hopefully Tech can put on some red jerseys and go out there, and that'll help the Myersman. Again, not sure I can get that pulled off, but it's a hope here midway through game week. So that's a look at the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs from Matt Bellinson. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, let's talk about Saints. What's their record going to be this year? I'll take it game by game. It's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club, Baton Rouge. Segan at Perkins. Brand new concept here in Baton Rouge. If you're a golfer, get on by. It's a great spot to work on your game. If you want to go in, avoid the elements. It's going to be 90-something every day this week. A lot of times it rains in the afternoon right when you get off work. If you'd rather just beat the elements and work on your game, you can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. They've got 3 unbelievable simulators. They can get that driving range setting, and they've got all of your metrics on every strike. So you hit the shot, you can watch it on the simulator, see what your shot shape looks like, see what your carry distance is, see how far the ball is curving, see what your ball speed is. And they've got this great feature that I found really, really helpful. Every single shot at impact, you can see how the club face compresses the ball. I hooked the ball. My miss is way left. And one of the things I could tell when I was hitting that big hook at times with my irons is that I was catching the ball on the heel of my club. So what can I do? I stand a little bit further away, try to eliminate that strike, and it helps me not to overturn the ball over. That's just me, but you can figure that out on your own there at Swing Easy Golf Club. Go check them out. It's a first-class facility. You want a cold beer while you're in there? Get one. Glass of wine while you're in there? You can get one. Turn the game on. You can do that as well. Comfortable seating areas and a spot to practice your game. It's Swing Easy Golf Club, Baton Rouge. You can check them out online at swingeasygcbr.com. swingeasygcbr.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
I did my SEC Power Rankings about an hour and a half ago. No, about 2 hours ago. And I did not go back and reference it to last week's. So I just did that in the break. I'm not going to give any team names here, but that team moved up 5. That team moved up 7. That team moved back 4. That team moved back 7. That's some significant shuffling in the middle of my power rankings here. We will get to them in the next segment. How many teams stayed still? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 teams stayed still. So a lot of shuffling in the power rankings from preseason to after 1 week of play. We'll get to those coming up next. But it's time to talk Saints. The Saints will start this season on Sunday at home against the Cardinals. And nobody is expecting the Cardinals to win the Super Bowl this year. But it is a little bit telling that in the Superdome, the Cardinals are nearly a touchdown favorite. That doesn't happen very often in the NFL. If you've listened to Matt on After Further Review, only 9 times all year last year was there a point spread of 7 or more in the NFL. And this is not more than that. It's 6.5, but it's close. And it's not one of the best teams in the NFL, we don't think, playing, and that team's on the road. So obviously, you look at a lot of preseason prognostications, you look at a lot of power rankings, you look at every metric on the outside that you can. Things don't look super awesome for the Saints this season. But I wanted to go through the operation. We do this every single year and give a record prediction. When I did LSU a couple weeks ago, I honestly kept my season-long record in mind as I was doing it and kind of made sure it lined up. I did not operate that way with the Saints in this instance. Instead, I just said, I'm going to pick game by game and see what the result is at the end. So that's what I have done. So let's run through it. I don't have any scores here, but I'm going wins or losses. I'm just not ready to pick the Saints to win on Sunday. Kyler Murray is a pretty good quarterback. The Cardinals roster is better than the Saints. Would I be stunned if they won? No. But I'm going to pick the Cardinals to win the opener. Then San Francisco comes in. San Francisco is not what they were 2-3 years ago, but McCaffrey's healthy. I think that that's a much better roster than the Saints, and I think that they will come into the Dome and win. So that's 0-2. Your next two are on the road in very, very, very difficult places to win, at Seattle and at Buffalo. I've got both of those as losses as well. So that moves the Saints to 0-4. Then you come back and have your first opportunity here, I think, at a win at home against the Giants. I'm actually not going to pick the Saints to win that game either. I don't know if it's going to be Russell Wilson or Jackson Dart at that point, and that probably skews the way I think about it. Assumption would be it'll be Russell Wilson. We'll see. But that's 0-5 start for the Saints. I have them snapping that in October 12th at home against the New England Patriots. I think that the Saints roster is comparable to New England. I probably favor New England at quarterback slightly, but I think that the rosters are comparable, and I think at home the Saints can win that game. You go to Chicago. I think that's a winnable game as well. We'll see what Caleb Williams looks like. They feel really good about Ben Johnson there in Chicago. The biggest question mark for them, I think, is left tackle, but I think on the road it's going to be tough for me to pick the Saints to win that game. You got Tampa coming to the Dome. I think that's the class of your division, so I will pick Tampa to win that game. Then you're at the Rams, and I will pick the Rams to take care of the Saints. If you heard any of the reports that were coming out from that joint practice with the Rams and the Saints, it didn't sound like the Saints offensive line had a heck of a lot of success against that Rams defensive front. It's loaded with dudes, even without Darren Donald 2 years later. But I don't like their odds there. So that is a 1-7 start. I will pick the Saints to go to Carolina and win right before the bye week. At this point, I think it's likely that Tyler Shuck is given an opportunity. Maybe it's closer to the end of September. Maybe it's at this point at the bye week. But I've got them getting to the bye at 2 wins against 7 losses. You got the Falcons coming in after the bye to the Dome. I've got that as a win for the Saints to move them to 3-7. Then you have back-to-back road trips, Miami and Tampa. I've got both of those as losses. But these are the 2 games that, to me, I'm most looking forward to on this schedule. Because you've got Carolina and the Jets coming to the Dome, while the Saints have full weeks after the bye, and they're not very good opponents. I've got the Saints beating Carolina and the Jets to get to 5-10 at that point in the schedule. At that point, you should have a feel of who your best option at quarterback is, and you should have a feel for whether or not Kellen Moore's got his feet under him as a head coach, as an offensive mind, and has got this team playing better. I don't care that I think the Saints are going to get beat soundly at Seattle and at Buffalo in September with a very young quarterback, a coach in his first month as a head coach in the regular season, a brand new defensive coordinator, like the whole thing. I don't care about that. But by the time you get to these games, which are in the middle of December, home games with Carolina and New York, the Jets, I think you need to be playing better than you did in September. And so I'm going to count on that, and I think the Saints win those games to get to 5-10. You're at Tennessee. That's a game you absolutely can win. I'm going to pick the Titans to win. Cam Ward, probably a better player at that point in the calendar than he was in September. And then you're at Atlanta, and I've got that as a loss to end the season as well. That, to me, puts the Saints at 5-12 for the season. The wins, home game against New England, road game at Carolina, home game against the Falcons, home game against the Panthers, home game against the Jets. And to me, after the bye week, you play 3 and 4 football after the bye. And I have kind of split this season up at that bye week. It may be the spot for the quarterback change. Maybe it's just the spot where the Saints get their head above water and start playing better football because their coaching staff is good. But I think that is most important. I'm less concerned with what is on the left side of the dash and what's on the right side of the dash this year. Is it 3-14? Is it 5-12? Is it 7-10? Like, you miss the playoffs in any of those cases. Sure, it's better to win more than lose more. But I can also make the case if you're not going to make the playoffs, you might as well lose more. But I think the way it looks, the way the team functions after the bye week, whether it's Rattler or Shuck, to me is important because you listen to this schedule after the bye week, and we've talked about this. Home against the Falcons, that's winnable. At the Dolphins, that's winnable. At the Bucs, maybe a little bit tougher. But then you've got the Panthers at home, that's winnable. The Jets at home, that's winnable. At the Titans, that's winnable. And at the Falcons, who knows? But those games are winnable for New Orleans, I think, after the bye. There's a lot of stuff pre-bye that I don't love. Like, I don't love San Francisco. I don't love at Seattle. I don't love at Buffalo. I don't love at Chicago. I don't like the Bucs coming in. I don't like at the Rams. Like, that's a lot of games that I look at and go, I don't think the Saints are capable of winning that game. In the NFL, things happen, and at times a lesser team wins because they're all pros. But there are more difficult games pre-bye than post-bye. After the bye, the Saints need to play better. And in my forecast here, they win 3 and lose 4. That's near 500 football, and I like that. Now, is that going to be a slog to get through a pre-bye slate where I've got the Saints losing 8 games and winning 2? Yeah, that's tough. But it's just part of what you sign up for this year. You need growth. You need development. You need things to get better as the season goes along. And that's what I'm banking on here with this prognostication. So to me, I got the Saints at 5-12, and hopefully the last 5 look better than the first 12. That's my thought. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Beck, you've listened to this diatribe. How do we feel about this prognostication by me?
It feels pretty fair. The only thing that's going to be, to me, that's going to be interesting for the Saints is when or if they go to Tyler Shuck at quarterback.
When?
When I think is probably the answer. And if he can inject some life into the team and maybe show, obviously it's going to be up and down for him just based off what we saw in the preseason. He's not going to go out there and play really well. He's going to have some. But the thing you want to look for is if he has some moments that show you, okay, if with a little bit more time, this guy could potentially be the quarterback for the Saints. I expect in the first 5 or 6 games that Spencer Rattler is just going to show you, kind of like he did last year, that he's just an average quarterback. He's never going to be a guy that you're going to really trust.
He's not your franchise quarterback.
No, he's not. He's not going to be, I don't think. So that's I think the most interesting is going to be Shuck. But yeah, I expect. I think the ceiling for the Saints is probably 6 or 7 wins.
We shall see. Saints and Cardinals Sunday noon Dome. Looking forward to it. I think there may be a point in the schedule where you go, God, again.
Yeah.
But first game, come on now. I did see on SeatGeek, which is the official ticket partner of the Saints, that secondary market's got about 10,000 tickets available in the Dome. So some of those will get bought and used, but I don't know that you're going to have a full house on Sunday, and we'll see just what the reception is. It's just it's. I remember at SC Media Days, John Neighbors went on Matt Show and said, I don't recall a season with less anticipation for Arkansas. And I kind of feel that way with the Saints. Since I've been here, I can't think of a season with less anticipation. I moved down to Baton Rouge in 2006, so you can imagine that's right when things were at a fever pitch the entire time I've been here. And now you're kind of feeling like taking a step back to the earlier 2000s at this point. We'll see if they can shake free from that pretty quickly. But that's a look at the Saints' schedule here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. When we come back, SEC football power rankings. Where are the Tigers? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. Looking for that outdoor kitchen? Renaissance Homes and Pools can help you out with that. Oh, I got Joey Blanchard. Check him out online, built by Renaissance.com. All right, chugging along here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Done Saints, done some LSU. Heard from Brian Kelly a little bit earlier as well. J.D. Pickell was with us. There's one thing left to do pre-Take It or Leave It, and that's our SEC football power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Georgia Bulldogs.
We're building some suspense there, but the Georgia Bulldogs are number one. This is just a respect thing with them. Like, they went out and obviously hammered Marshall. Who cares? But they just always have a great roster. They have a great coaching staff, and I'm not ready to unseat them at this current juncture. Georgia was atop my power rankings last week. They stay there this week.
The LSU Tigers.
I move LSU up a spot to number 2, and I feel pretty good about it. That was a heck of a win for LSU. We've talked about it for the last 3 days. I don't need to elaborate any much more on it, but it was really good. And I think LSU's got a damn good team that's got a chance to compete to win the SEC this year, so I've got them at number 2.
The Texas Longhorns.
Only moved the Horns down one spot, and I'm cautious about this, but keep in mind, Ohio State barely got 200 yards on Saturday. Like, the Texas defense is legit, and they do have elite speed at running back and wide receiver. Like, I'm concerned about Arch. I'm concerned a little bit about the offensive line, but there aren't a lot of teams that are going to go into the shoe and win. Texas wasn't prepared to do that. If Arch looks bad this week or goes to the swamp in a couple weeks and looks bad, I'll recalibrate things, because you can't win with a bad quarterback. I don't think he's bad right now, but that was shaky on Saturday. So I just moved Texas back one spot. It's still a really good roster. They got to figure something out on offense.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I moved South Carolina up 5 spots. Defense looked good against Syracuse. That first drive, looking, whoa, that looks pretty good for Lenora Sellers. Then they didn't score again for like a long time. Got a special teams touchdown there against Virginia Tech. It wasn't a clinical effort, but I thought it was pretty good. And to be quite honest, from 4 to 12, I could pretty much mix them up and throw them in a hat. I'll take South Carolina up 5 spots from 9 to 4.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
I moved Tennessee way up. I thought the offense looked really good against Syracuse. Syracuse may be terrible. That may not be a great sample size, but I feel confident the defense for Tennessee is going to be good. They made some explosive plays against an ACC team in the game on Saturday, so I thought it was a pretty good effort. I moved them up to number 5. Am I married to it? No, but I got them there though.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss up from 8 to number 6. Obviously, brought out the whooping stick as Lane Kiffin teams usually do. Those offenses are very difficult to defend if you're outmanned, and most of their non-conference games, they're outmanned. Simmons played well. The defense was pretty good. Still don't love this Ole Miss team, but I thought they played pretty well on Saturday, so I got them in there at number 6.
Texas A&M!
I backed A&M up 3 spots. Like, Casey Concepcion made a huge impact. A couple early touchdowns. I still think the defense will be pretty good. I still think their running game is going to be really good. But they didn't play great against UTSA. You're looking up there, and it's a competitive game late in the third quarter. Didn't love that for the Aggies, but I still think it's a pretty good team. I got them at 7.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
We'll learn more about Oklahoma this week as they welcome Michigan in. We'll see how that goes. I moved them back from 7 to 8 at this instance. Moved Tennessee and South Carolina up in front of them. I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty good. I think middle of the pack's fair.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn up from 11 to 9. I thought they looked good on Friday. I really was impressed. I don't think Baylor's great, but I think their offense is good. I picked Baylor to cover in that game and win that game. That did not happen, so nice job going on the road. Fairly hostile environment and taking care of business. Auburn handled themselves well in that spot, so give me Auburn up to number 9.
The Florida Gators.
I don't have a great reason to move Florida down 4 spots. You can't learn anything from a game against Long Island. Scoreboard looked pretty good. I think Lagway's pretty good. This may be a miscalculation on my part, but I wanted to move Auburn up after what they did, so I figured why not move them up in front of Florida, so I did.
I'm not going to lie to you. Your handwriting is
not good.
Absolutely atrocious. I'm going to assume this next one is this.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
That is correct. It is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Maybe you were just shocked to see him at 11.
No, I wasn't actually. I thought they could have been lower than that, but I just wasn't
it
sure.
Can't be lower than that.
They could be.
They're still got a lot of good players, but Like, that was a pathetic effort. I don't have another way to say it. There's a chance Ty Simpson stinks. There's a chance they're soft on defense. There's a chance Kalen DeBoer is in way over his head. There's a chance of a lot of things in Tuscaloosa right now. So I don't think this is too knee-jerk. I think Marler had them at like 15. That's ridiculous. They're still going to win some games this year, but like, am I 100% sure they're better than Florida? No. 100% sure they're better than Auburn? No. 100% sure they're better than Oklahoma? A&M? No. I think there's a chance they're not that great. I got them down at number 11.
The Missouri Tigers.
Move Missouri back a couple of spots. I still never believe that they got a ton of talent. I think their schedule is going to help them out here. But they looked good in a Thursday beat down of a FCS team, so good for you, Missouri.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Doors still in at number 13. The bottom spot's not going to change any. That's where they were last week. That's where they are this week. They're the best of the worst in my eyes. So Vanderbilt, number 13.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs, 14th. Good effort against another FCS team, but you're going to have to step things up here in a couple of weeks. Notre Dame is knocking on that door here shortly. Don't love the talent level on Sam Pittman's roster, but they get out there and they get a win to start the season. They're 14th.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
I think Kentucky's potentially awful. Toledo hung in there with them as we thought they would. The number was only 9.5, and Toledo covered it. I think it's a bad team, but I don't think it's the worst team. That's Mississippi State.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
They won. Went to Southern Miss and won. So credit that. That's good. Won by 2 scores. Covered, as I thought they would. But that's still not a very talented roster. Blake Shapen's okay. And maybe that they can take that 15 spot away from Kentucky at some point. But for right now, still got the Dogs at number 16. That's your SEC Power Rankings. Georgia 1, LSU 2, Texas 3. South Carolina moves up to number 4. Tennessee climbs up to number 5. Got Ole Miss at 6. A&M falls to 7. Oklahoma in the middle of the pack there at 8. Auburn at 9. Florida at 10. The Crimson Tide of Alabama at number 11. Missouri 12. And then the bottom stays consistent. Vandy at 13. Arkansas at 14. Kentucky at 15. Mississippi State at 16. What's worse, my rankings or my handwriting?
The handwriting it couldn't be worse.
It could be worse.
No, I mean, it could be, I guess, but not much. I mean, it really looks like, I bet you Myers probably has better handwriting than you at this point.
Myers doesn't do a lot of handwriting.
Well, he will have better handwriting than you probably within the year, if I had to guess.
I would guess that as well.
It's quite bad. But I do agree with these for the most part. I do like seeing Tennessee higher. As I said last week, I thought Josh Heupel was going to be able to get a lot out of Joey Aguilar. He's a great coach.
It's
really,
deep balls.
Yeah. Josh Heupel always gets his. It's kind of like Lane Kiffin. And it doesn't really. It kind of matters who the quarterback is, but he can get a lot out of even some guys that you may not think of as highly in terms of the talent wise. But I like Tennessee that high. But I agree with you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be interesting to see how these middle of the pack teams shake out. South Carolina at 4 seems crazy on the surface, but who else are you going to put there? I mean, that's just they had a good win, so I'm not surprised to see that.
No, where should I put Bama?
I don't mind. I guess 11. I guess is okay. I think if you say, all right, let's just put Alabama against these teams ranked around them, and who do you think would be favored? I think if they played Florida if they played Florida in Gainesville, I think Florida has a chance of being favored in that game.
I don't disagree with that.
And then Missouri, they're going to be favored anywhere. Vandy, they're going to be favored. All those other teams are going to be favored against them. So it's not a bad thing, but they had probably the worst loss of anybody in the SEC in terms of just the magnitude of the loss, how many points they lost by.
It's stunning that everyone's handicapping of that loss was just like, yeah, Bama just got punched in the mouth and just didn't even think about answering.
Yeah.
They just sat there and let Florida State and a guy that got benched at Boston College last year run it down their throat. Like, that's essentially what the narrative was. And it's not like this one hot take artist jumped on a mic and was like, these guys don't even try. It's every single college football person that watched the game or has looked at the films like, yeah, they just Florida State just runs it in Gus Malzahn's run scheme and they just get knocked out of the way. It's like, well, that's not very good.
The Gus Bus rolls on.
Gus Bus. They had a legend from the Feinbaum show said the Gus Bus ran over his candy ass. That's what he said.
That's a pretty good statement.
Legend out. All right, that's it for Power Rankings. We'll come back and close it out.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find that inventory online, genesisofbatonrouge.com. How about valet test drives? Love that. They can come to you at the office. They can come to you at home. If you'd like to test drive a Genesis vehicle, do it from the comfort of your neck of the woods. they're happy to come to you. It's just part of the experience, part of the customer service. They go above and beyond. And if you purchase that new Genesis, well, for 3 years, you don't have to bring it in for maintenance either. They'll just come get it for you. They'll bring you a loaner, get on about your day. They handle the maintenance, bring it right back to you. Just part of it. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. Get on by and see them, Airline at Piku. Check out that line of vehicles. The GV80 is awesome. Got behind the wheel of one a couple of weeks ago. Just drives so smooth. All the features that you're looking for. And an IHA top safety pick, which means one of the safest vehicles on the road. The entire line of Genesis vehicles is an IHA top safety pick. Some of them top safety picks plus. So if safety's important to you, we know that it is. Get on by Genesis and test drive a vehicle today. Genesis of Baton Rouge, Airline at Piku, and online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
One 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st of September. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
We got game times and opponents for LSU's trip to Jacksonville in baseball coming up this coming season. That'll be week 2 of the LSU season. Friday, February the 20th, Saturday the 21st, and Sunday the 22nd. LSU will play in the Jacks Classic over in Jacksonville, Florida. Unfortunately, I'm very bummed out by this. LSU will play at 1 o'clock on Friday against Indiana, so that'll be right during my show. Saturday, they will play against Notre Dame at 11 o'clock Central Time. And then Sunday, they will play against Central Florida at 2 o'clock Central Time. So if you're going, all those times will be Eastern, but if you're here back in Baton Rouge, D1 Baseball is going to stream it. I know that makes a lot of folks roll their eyes based on issues that happened a couple years ago. I've never had an issue with the D1 streams. I realize that makes me in the either very, very non-vocal majority or in the silent minority. But I think it's fine, and I'm looking forward to watching LSU play in that tournament. Those 3 programs have not been great the last couple of years. Certainly none of them made the tournament this past year. But that's the announcement from the Jacks College Classic, and so LSU will play at those 3 time slots in week 2 of the baseball season coming up in February. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
I think the high on Saturday is like 96. You're going to be tailgating out there on campus, looking to put down some cold beers. Want a light beer? Flight by Yingling needs to be the tailgate beer for your crew. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, all that beer flavor that you're looking for, but light and refreshing on these hot Louisiana afternoons. It's going to be hot on Saturday. Get your Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Alrighty, first one here. The NFL Red Zone host Scott Hansen confirmed today that the popular simulcast whip-around coverage show will now have full commercial breaks as opposed to just some pop-ins on the screen. You could still see the action while those ads were showing, but full commercial breaks for Red Zone. Take it or leave it.
Gotta leave it. That was like one of the draws.
That's
of
the
Red
main
Zone.
draw, I think, of it, really.
I don't ever watch Red Zone. Never had it. I know the concept and think it's awesome. I just don't care to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big deal for those that do make their Sundays around Red Zone with your fantasy football stuff and just wanting to watch football wall to wall with no interruption. That's a bummer, but I guess part of the transition to the ESPN side of things.
I was going to say it's probably not a coincidence that now ESPN owns it, that they probably decided that would be a move they would make. Moving on, next one, Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver, got signed by the Carolina Panthers recently. He was not on the team, but they gave him a couple of calls. The head coach, general manager, were all trying to call him to let him know that they wanted to sign him. But Hunter was not answering his phone. The reason he was not answering his phone is because he was not with his phone. His daughters were using his phone, watching Bluey.
Yep.
And every time they received a call, they decided to not answer it because they probably are pretty young and know nothing about how phone calls work.
Just hit the red button.
And just hit the red button to continue watching Bluey. Missing a potential job because of Bluey. Take it or leave it.
Take it. Bluey's awesome.
It is.
I'll take it.
Huge Bluey fan.
Yep.
Myers man had a great Bluey phase. We're
It's
easing
over?
out of it.
Oh, that was fast.
I clamor for it at times to try to get. I mean, we're so deep into Peppa Pig at this point.
Oh, man.
I don't really care about
Yeah,
Peppa
Bluey's
Pig. I want to bring Bluey
far
back.
superior.
So I try to sell it, but oftentimes that gets taken down. But Bluey's awesome. If you're going to get millions of dollars to go play football, maybe just pause the Bluey briefly.
Yeah.
But I understand the lure of the red button as well. Myers man loves the red button, loves to hang up on people. So
yeah, what's the deal with that? The red. Why is red more alluring than green is? You know, I don't know.
He just likes to hit the red button.
Yeah,
loves to hang up.
Well, so I could see it. Yeah, I could see a very similar scenario for you in this case with him watching Bluey.
I'm sure the Panthers are calling any minute.
Yeah, probably so.
I can work it in the slot. Excellent route runner. Get in and out of my breaks.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
hands. Got to catch the ball out front.
Yep.
Can't use your chest in the body.
Nope.
Yeah, I could play for the Panthers.
All right, that's it. Take it or leave it.
That's it for take it or leave
I was
it.
going to do the Kawhi Leonard thing, but you talked about it at the end of the hour.
I
so
did.
was like,
Yeah,
we'll
it's
pass on it.
quite a story. If you missed the Kawhi Leonard thing, go back and check it out at the end of hour number 1. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard. Check him out online at builtbyrenaissance.com. custom pools, outdoor kitchens. They got you set up to make your house a great, entertaining house. Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. Missed any of today's show? Check it out on demand. Opened the show talking about Brian Kelly, something he said on the teleconference today about potentially changing the way he looks analytically at fourth downs, and a mistake that he made on Saturday, and why I think he's done a great job of kind of adapting on the fly here at LSU. J.D. Pickell was with us at 1:15 talking all things college football, had What If Wednesday. And then Matt Bellinson from the Ruston Leader talking Louisiana Tech Bulldogs at 2 o'clock as Sonny Cumbie brings his team in here for Saturday night in Death Valley coming up on Saturday. Saints record prediction. Went through all 17 games. My thoughts, wins and losses. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. Power rankings for the Southeastern Conference. You can find all that on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We always appreciate y'all checking out our content, getting in front of as many people as possible. So thanks to y'all as we are full swing into football season here with the Saints cranking up on Sunday. All right, tomorrow's show should be a fun one. We're going to talk to Luke Johnson. Speaking of those Saints, he will be in the Dome on Sunday, so we'll get a preview of Saints-Cardinals from Luke. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, will be with us in advance of Brian Kelly's show. And then we're going to get some sound from LSU's players today, interviews at 5:45. So we'll chat to some Tigers and tell you what they had to say on tomorrow's show. Y'all have a wonderful and safe Wednesday evening. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient.